If you follow my channel, you'll know I recently made a custom Tekken 8 Halloween themed video. One of the series I made customs of in that video was an anime I forgot about. I thought it was perfect for the idea, and it got me thinking I should review it since some of my comments praised said customs. I'm of course referring to the series Rosario Vampire. Rosario Vampire was a series I remember watching a lot at the time. It's also one of the series I made a review for when I used to write them. So because it's October, I thought it was time to do a video review of the series. Just to clarify, I'm only reviewing the anime of Rosario Vampire. However, I will bring up the manga later on. You'll see why. Anyways, let's start with the story. Skune is a typical teenager who isn't that bright, so much so that he couldn't get into any high school. However, his mom found out about a school called Yokai Academy and enrolled him there. Before he even gets there though, he has a run-in with a girl named Mocha, for whom he's immediately head over heels because she's beautiful. However, she reveals after biting him that she's really a vampire. The whole vampire thing might be weird to any of my younger viewers, but it was normal in our world at the time to hear teens say they were vampires. I mean, the first Twilight book came out in 2005, and the movie came out the same year this anime did. So it does make sense why Skune probably didn't think much about it when he first heard that. However, he soon finds out the truth when he goes to class and finds out it really is a school for monsters. Like any normal person, Skune gets freaked out and wants to escape before the monsters tear him apart. However, Mocha wants him to stay because he's been her first friend and jumps in to save him when another classmate tries to kill him. That's when Skune accidentally removes her rosary, something the narrator will constantly remind you of, unlocking her vampire form and saving the both of them. Now Skune has to survive at a school with monsters, but has Mocha to help protect him whenever he's in danger. For the most part, the series is formulaic. Skune gets in trouble with a monster, and Mocha has to save the day. However, there is another part of this series. Sometimes Skune will get in a situation with another female monster, like a succubus, and Mocha will beat them in a fight. The difference is that sometimes said girl will fall in love with Skune, making this series a harem. For those who don't know, a harem is a series in which the main character, usually a male, has multiple females in love with him. Probably the most significant example of a harem is the Tenchi Muyo series. I will say that in terms of characters, Rosario Vampire has unique girls who fall in love with Skune. First, there's Mocha, who is Skune's first friend and the reason he wants to stay at Yokai Academy. She's also one of the most adorable females I've seen in anime. I love the pink hair, and seeing her smile is always nice. I also love that she's ready to protect Skune despite not being in her vampire form and knowing she's powerless without it. Her vampire form is also a nice touch because it's like a Dr. Jekyll Mr. Hyde thing. They're the same person, but they're entirely different. Pink-haired Mocha is more caring and tells Skune how much she cares for him. White-haired Mocha is merciless and doesn't hold back in fights. On top of that, whenever she does talk, she tells Skune the only reason she saved him is because his blood is delicious. It probably makes him happy that he deals with pink-haired Mocha most of the time. Besides Mocha, there's also Chroma, the succubus I mentioned earlier. Initially, she just wanted to drain Skune of his life because that's what a succubus does. However, after Skune stops Mocha from harming her more after their fight, she falls in love and says she wants to marry him in the future. I will say Kuruma is probably my favorite, and not just because she's a succubus. Don't judge me. She's also the comedic relief of the group. She works best off of all the characters, and I always enjoy seeing her interact with everyone. In some ways, she reminds me of Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo. She started looking like she was just an enemy, but became one of my favorite characters in the series. If it had been a different series, I'd want her to be the one to end up with Skune. However, in terms of being a harem, I don't think the series does a great job. As I said, a harem involves one main character, usually a male, and multiple females in love with him. However, part of the harem also wonders who said character will get with. The issue is that it never feels like it's up for debate in the series. From the start, and throughout the series, it always feels like the one Skune truly loves is Mocha. They're the ones who spend the most time together, only Skune can remove her rosary, and they're the only two who do this weird thing where they stare at each other and just say each other's names repeatedly. On top of that, the series ends with a multi-part finale where Skune goes to get a rosary to bring back pink-haired Mocha. I'm not saying it's wrong to ship anyone in the series, it just feels like the series isn't leaving it up for debate on who Skune would end up with. It makes me wish that the series would have focused more on other things, or made it seem like there was a reason Skune may pick one of the other girls. Besides being a harem, though, the series has other things about it to enjoy, one of which is the comedy in the series. Rosario Vampire did make me laugh a few times throughout its run. Usually, the comedy comes from the girls fighting about which of them is the better option. If I had to pick one of the funniest episodes, it would be Bathroom and the Vampire from Season 2. The episode involves Gune going home to see his mom during break. We also see that Mocha decide to show up too, worried that if she left him alone, he'd want to stay. This also leads to finding out all the other girls came to his house, leading to his mom thinking Skune is a deviant, with all the girls wanting to get with him. They also don't help, because each makes it sound like the relationship is more than it really is with Skune, making his mom assume the worst. I know it sounds like the typical misunderstanding leading to comedy, but I'm a sucker for stuff like that. I mean, I referenced the classic Who's On First from Abbott and Costello on this channel before, so I think I made it clear what some of my tastes in comedy are. I'm not saying this series is as funny as that, but you'll get a chuckle from it every now and then. While I enjoy the comedy, the series has focused on fighting throughout its run, so much so that at one point, one character starts announcing how fast the fight ends in each episode. Unfortunately, I'm a little mixed when it comes to the fighting in Rosario Vampire. On one hand, the fights are entertaining, but on the other hand, it's not as interesting considering how overpowered Mocha is. The first episode establishes that Mocha is one of the strongest monsters. The series also reinforces this, as Mocha has no problem beating any monster that tries to hurt Skune. Just to give you an idea of how overpowered she is, one episode states vampires are weak against water, and Mocha has to fight against mermaids that are in water. Despite being inside of her weakness, she has no problem beating them. That's like Superman beating anyone despite being surrounded by kryptonite. You know, his one weakness that drains his powers. The point of a character having a weakness is to show a character struggling who otherwise may be too powerful. And Rosario Vampire never has Mocha go through anything like that, to the point that these fights don't mean anything to me after a while. After seeing Mocha win so many fights so quickly, you stop getting concerned that maybe she'll lose or have some trouble being a new enemy that just showed up. It doesn't help that most episodes are one-offs, where an enemy shows up and causes trouble, and then Mocha saves the day. It's not like a shonen series where they had to stretch it out, like when Goku didn't fight Frieza at first, because he was injured from Ginyu taking over his body. It feels like Rosario Vampire is being rushed to finish these stories, so they have no choice but to make Mocha look overpowered by how fast her fights have to end. The only time she struggles is in the season 1 finale, where Skune is almost killed, so she gives him some of her blood to save his life. This weakens her, making it harder for her to save the day like usual. While this solves one problem, it creates another problem for the series I've always hated, even when I first saw it. That is Skune, and how the series forgets that he has vampire powers now. As I said, Mocha gives her blood to Skune so he'll survive, which weakens her. At one point, she's almost killed because of that. However, before the guy delivers the killing blow, someone instantly swoops in to save her. That's someone with Skune, who has powers now. I already knew the series had 2 seasons, and I figured season 2 would involve more Skune saving the day now that he had his own powers. Unfortunately, the series doesn't mention him having powers again until the season 2 finale. For the rest of the season, he's still helpless and needs Mocha to save the day. I'm not saying Skune needed to be an overpowered vampire too, but I doubt he would return to his old self, considering there's vampire blood in him now. I would have at least taken him struggling as his body reacts differently now, but to just forget about it feels dumb in retrospect. Also, do you know why I know it was a better idea to evolve that in the story? Because they do that in the manga version. In that version, Skune struggles to control his powers, which are turning him into a ghoul, and needs his own rosary to do the same thing that Mocha's rosary does for her powers. It makes me feel like the anime wanted to play it safe, but if it had followed the manga, it would have lasted longer than 2 seasons. It had more of an impact than it did during its initial run. Looking back, it's an anime no one else I knew heard about at the time, and one of the reasons is that it doesn't stand out as much as it could have. Instead of being a different take on a shonen series, where it was monster girls protecting one guy, it wants to be a typical harem of them fighting over which one will get with them. Instead of being an actual harem and showing him unsure of who he loves, the series almost outright states that it's Mocha he wants to be with. I know there are times when white-haired Mocha will chastise him for, quote, not choosing one, but it feels dumb considering how much the series points out that Mocha's the one he wants to get with. I know these last parts make it sound like I don't like the series, but I don't hate it. I just think it had more potential, it could have been more. Even then, I still enjoyed it for what it was. It was nice revisiting it after all these years. Also, It has the benefit of being a series involving a human and vampire love in the late 2000s. That's not Twilight, so that's another plus. Overall, I hope the series gets a reboot someday in some form. The manga is actually great, and I'd recommend it to anyone interested. As for the anime, I think it's sometimes enjoyable, but you'll get more from the manga than you would from the anime. I may do a review of the manga someday if anyone's interested in manga reviews in the future, so let me know in the comments. Until then, I'm Marco Strange. Stay safe, stay strange.